And welcome back to Home Track Heroes here on CW11. Steve Mortland along with Tom Glithero. And we're just before we get into the Legend main event, some pretty kind of odd things happened in the Hornet technical area after that race.
Well, after the race is over, the cars go through technical inspection. 7 of them found to have illegal springs, including our winner, McKenna Cox. And, of course, Trent Gillespie, who was disqualified, did not obey the black flag, was also disqualified out of the race, and so we have a new winner.
And here he is.
Well, it was a very eventful finish for the Hornets and ended up with a couple of disqualifications. Now, Damon Claiborne, your winner. How does it feel starting out the season at Evergreen Speedway with fans in the stands and a trophy in your hands?
It feels pretty good. I was pretty happy to even finish third. They changed our spring rule this year. We've had the rule written for a while, but a lot of cars still didn't show up legal. Mine, fortunately, was one of them that did. So I was happy to finish third in the race, and then after all the things went down in the pits, turns out I got first today. So it's a pretty good way to start off my year.
Who do you need to thank for getting into the first place tonight?
Absolutely want to thank Dick Lockhart. He helps me, he stores the car for me. I want to thank Reardon's Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Monroe. They're a massive sponsor for me. I also work for them, so they let me work on the car in the shop, which is pretty cool. Thank Brandy Hood Promotions. She's done pretty much all the vinyl on the car. Thank my dad. My wife, she's been super supportive. She's out here today. She's been a lot of help, and just want to thank anybody who's helped me on the car. I just really appreciate it.
Damon Claiborne and Victory Lane.
All right, thank you very much, Kyler. We've got our Evergreen Legends coming up, and as you saw where Kyler is our Angel of the Winds Victory Circle, and where we're going to do all interviews this year. We'll talk about Angel of the Winds here in a few seconds. Coming up is our Legend main event for the first time. 33 cars timed in. We're going to start, I think, 23. We had a B main event earlier in the day, but starting lineup on the pole is going to be the 16 of Dwayne Swanson. Outside of Dwayne in the 36 will be Robert Clark. Lance Mackey in the 03, a great story about that guy. And outside of Lance in the second row, Kenny Armstrong in the 11R.
In the third row of the 5-car, Garrett Archer. Outside of Garrett will be the 11C of Chad Sinner, going for his third consecutive championship. In the row behind them, it'll be Billy Weber in the 28. Outside of Billy in the 55 car is Austin Coonan, and that car is sponsored by Ford of Kirkland.
And Doug Shelton will be in the number 30 car. Outside of Shelton in the 09 will be Cole Alton, brought to you by Central Welding Supply. In the next row back, Chris Thompson in the 10. Outside of Chris Thompson in the 10 is Kyle Lang in the 33.
And the next row is the 76 of Corey Boyle. Outside of Corey, in the 7 car will be Greg Estes. Behind them, in the 15, it'll be Kurt Boyle. The 29 car of Don Rogers. That's sponsored by College Hunks Junk Removal.
And Tom will do an in-depth discussion of that business here as the season goes on. Aaron Flett in the number 98, brought to you by the Kent Collision Center. In the 43 is Ron Wolf, rounding out the last row. The 21 of Chris Rice, and rounding out the field, sponsored by Mazda of Everett, is the 08 of Greg Scott. This race has got so much going on in it. The division, all 30 or 33 of them, how many ever timed in, such great stories coming out of that. We've got a couple of very special ones we'll get into, but right now we're going to bust them out of turn 3. A green flag is going to fly, and we are underway for our Evergreen Legends main event. 30 laps on the 3/8 for these 5/8 scale race cars.
Taking that lead early out is Dwayne Swanson. Dwayne, a lot of experience. He's run stock cars, he's run sprint cars, modifieds, a little bit of everything. Dwayne, a little long in the tooth, been doing this a long time, loves running these legend cars, and I got to tell you, he is bad fast.
If you're watching this, Dwayne, Tom says that with respect. Believe me, he does. Dwayne Swanson has just been one of the premier drivers.
Pretty good muffler guy, too.
Yeah, that's what I hear. He can put up some pipes, and he has really had a very successful run in these Legends cars. And one other thing that's really cool about this Legend, we have young people in this around in their early teens, and our good friend Pete Jensen from here in Monroe decided to go Legends racing. He has raced mini stocks Hornets in the 23, 24 years that I've known him, and he just decided a Legend might be fun, so he bought one. And he didn't buy one, he bought 2, and if he wins a main event in 2021, he will have won a main event at Evergreen Speedway in 6 different decades.
He is 77 years young,
Yep.
and just is loving what he's doing, you
Yep.
know. And I saw the smile on his face. He's got one. I think he may take. I'm not sure if it's his twin brother. I know it's
It
his
is.
brother,
Yeah, his
but I
twin
think they're
brother, Paul.
twins. And well, they're two 77-year-olds out there having fun. So these are 5/8 scale race cars. The rules keep everything very, very tight. We see a spin right there.
We do, and if we gonna see right now, there's a
Whoa.
flip. There's Don Rogers on his lid, so that will obviously bring out a red flag in the response team from Evergreen Speedway. Here's a replay of it as the 2 cars get hung up and goes backwards. Everyone tries to avoid it, and on its side goes the number 29 machine. So here's another. This ought to be a really good shot.
Come right at you.
Yeah, and this is kind of a good testament to the official side at Evergreen. I mean, this wreck wasn't even done before the caution flag came on.
Well, it also
And
talks about the safety of these cars. They
It
are all
does.
built by a company back on the East Coast. The rules are very strict. They officiate them. You can take these cars and run them all across America, and maybe the only thing you'll have to change will be the number on the door, because they, are so. I mean, if you're going to run a legend car, it's INEX, and that's the sanctioning body, and they take good care of them. But you can see here, they're pretty tough race cars too.
They are, and they will make you a better race car driver, and that's what one thing that's so neat about them. Good time to shout out to Sam's Towing and Angel Transport and Dick's Towing are going to be out with us all season long. And like I said about the Cascade push trucks as we bring it up here. I wanted to remind you, Angel of the Winds Casino, you can celebrate 100% smoke-free at Angels of the Winds Casino Resort. Whether a birthday, gender reveal, excursion with friends, strikers bowling, or all things sports, offer incredible packages with exciting extras. Book your party package today by visiting angelofthewinds.com, and we thank them for being a big part of Evergreen Speedway again in
It doesn't happen without
2021.
these sponsors,
No.
whether it's on cars, sponsoring the events, or some of the signage you see. And if you do happen to stop in these places, tell them you came because you saw it at Evergreen Speedway.
Yeah, another big sponsor is on the side of our pace car, the beautiful Chevrolet Camaro, which you and I get to spend some time in this year. Which you just found out about the other night.
I get to drive.
Yes, of course.
I've seen you drive.
Well, yes, you have, and I've seen you drive.
We're getting ready to go green here. The lights are out in the pace cars. You can see the lights are out, so they'll go green next time by. It's going to be Swanson on the pole. Outside of him, Garrett Archer. I talked to Garrett earlier in the evening, and he is working desperately to get that late model done. He wants to get back to that. But he said, you know what, running this Legend is a lot of fun for him. And so you're going to see him throughout the day do a pretty darn good job. He's followed by Lance Mackey right now.
All right, pace car pulls off and down into the access road, and it is Dwayne Swanson on the inside. Garrett Archer out of Renton, I believe, in the outside with Lance Mackey in the 03 right outside, and immediately get into that start zone, and they are just all over the place. Chad Sinner in that number 11C. I think 3 consecutive championships that young man has won, and it's going to show pretty early on in this race that Chad Sinner is mean in business. But Dwayne Swanson and Garrett Archer are no slouches either. These 3 are pretty much the class of the field. A lot of good racing going on behind them. And when you're in the grandstands, not if you're in the grandstands, but when you guys get into the grandstands and see these guys, there's just a race all over the track that is so much fun to watch. But right now, as we are 5 laps into our 30-lap feature for our Evergreen Legends, it's still Garrett Archer has now gotten the lead with Dwayne Swanson in the second spot and the 11th seat of Chad Sinner. You can see down the bottom on the scroll the rest of the field.
Well, Sinner, as you say, going for another championships. And I talked to his crew. They built a new car this winter. And I said, how's the new car? And they said, it's bad fast, which is tough for the competition. And I said, what are you going to do with the old car? And he said, well, we drug his dad, who's 60 years old, I think did some demo derby racing, I guess you'd call it, back in the day. Never been out in a Legend car and was out here tonight in the last chance qualifier having a blast.
An outstanding side-by-side battle just as they went down the front stretch between Garrett Archer in the 5 and Dwayne Swanson in the 16. You can see him still working it down on the backstretch. Chad Sinner in the 11C sticking his nose in there as well. You see the number 28 machine of Weber trying to get into the mix as well, working up on the outside. Billy Weber in that number 28. So like Tom mentioned, when you have cars that are so similar in design, in build, in horsepower, in transmission gearing, the whole deal.
Yeah.
This is what makes this class so much fun, because it's a driver's series.
Well, if you watch right now, Garrett Archer may not have the fastest race car out there right now. You can see there's 5 cars, and they're all kind of bottled up behind him. But Archer's hitting those marks. He is perfect. That car right on the white line, right off, nice straight down the front straightaway. As you can see, Sinner is all over him. You couldn't slide a piece of paper between the two of them. And like I say, I think Sinner's a tick faster than the leader, Garrett Archer, but Archer's not making any mistakes right now.
And there's an old saying that we tend to use, and that's some guys really know how to make their cars wider. And you're kind of seeing that right now with the way, and what Garrett is doing is he's kind of taking away the opportunities for Sinner to build up a head of steam, because you've got to either go up to the top of turn 2 and get that thing to really rotate off the turn, or the same way out of turn number 4, so you can kind of go downhill and pick up a little bit of speed. But Garrett Archer's just doing a masterful job of hanging on to that.
And you got Billy Weber in that 3rd spot. He's all over waiting for a mistake. And our early leader, Mr. Swanson, he's running in the 4th spot. Dwayne, he's not going to give up on this deal. He's going to keep scratching and clawing to get his way back up to the front.
As we see up on top there, as we come up to the halfway point, 15 down, 15 to go, with Garrett Archer in the lead, followed by Chad Sinner and the 28 of Billy Weber, the 16 of Dwayne Swanson, make up your top 4. And as Garrett Archer really got a good run coming off that turn, and we see it as they come out of turn number 4.
You see that?
The 55 machine there.
Kenny Armstrong in that 11R car. Kenny Armstrong owns King's Transmission, and you've seen King's Transmission on a bunch of race cars, whether they're super late models, you name it. He sponsored them throughout the years. Been a big supporter. But a great 4-car battle right now for that lead. And right now, Garrett Archer, like you say, continues to hit those marks. Continues to keep Sinner at bay. Sinner's done everything but turn him, twist him, and send him on his way.
And he's had a couple of opportunities to get a bumper on the back end of that 5-car. And I think wisely decided not to. But we've still got a bunch of racing left. There's a lot that can happen. But these cars, and especially this top 4, you're kind of seeing about as good as it's going to get around the Pacific Northwest. And a little bit of a bobble there by Garrett Archer as he came out of turn number 4, but he gathers it up nicely. And I think when and probably just by reaction, when Chad Sinner saw that bobble, he kind of backed up a little bit, and that helped Garrett out more than he had maybe expected to have happen.
Well, and Sinner's got a little bit of a problem in the fact that he's got 2 cars breathing all over him, too. While you want to be aggressive going forward, and here he's trying to look on that outside, he still has to protect his line, or the next thing you know, he's going to find himself back and forth. Now he takes a look inside.
He took a peek as the cars are getting around the 43 car of Ron Wolf, and he did take a peek on the inside, but Chad Sinner still hanging on to that 2nd spot as he is figuring out some way to get around the 5 of Garrett Archer with 10 laps to go.
It's a great battle. I mean, this is as good a racing as you're ever going to find in any class in the Pacific Northwest, and it's legend cars. 5/8 scale. They run on a Hoosier tire. It's a spec tire. They are a hard car to drive, but as you can see, there it is. Still Garrett Archer, followed by Chad Sinner, Billy Weber, and Dwayne Swanson.
And one thing that you talk to these drivers of these cars, and especially that have been doing it for several years, guys like Dwayne Swanson, they find these things, believe it or not, they are small and they are compact, but man, they're comfortable. And you don't need to be, 5'2" to get into them. You can be people 6 foot. You wouldn't believe some of the height of some of these people that get out of these things when they bring them up after the end of a race. And the leaders come across the start-finish line. They're heading into turn number 1. They're bunched up, and here we go. We've got Aaron Flett in the 98 spin around, just clips a car which sends it into the center in the 11C, and a tough break for Sinner. As we get a caution out here, we'll get these cars straightened up, and when we're going to take a break here in a few seconds, when we come back, we'll have the finish of our Legends race main event here on CW11.